Hey everyone, how you doing? So, are you man enough? There's a question I watch a very good friend of mine talk about in a live about a week ago. And to answer the question, he then went into this live and basically talked about the moments where he hadn't been man enough and where he'd been vulnerable and where he'd been confused and where he'd felt lost. And in that moment, and this is something I talk about quite often, I realised that that's what it is at the moment to be a man. Quite lost, quite confused, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of shoulders pulled back, a lot of chest puffed out, but behind it, a lot of fear and a lot of confusion. My personal opinion is, as men, we've devolved slightly. As women have taken the reins and they're moving forward at an incredible pace, and we seem to be stuck. Now, that's not necessarily a negative, because I think what's happening is men are starting to shift the way they think and the way they see the world, and we're starting to see average guys like me who have decided it's time for a change, and it's time that we started supporting each other, and it was time that things like I've just written in the beginning of this live here on this post are discussed, because I think this idea that we walk around in this modern society with our chests out and shoulders pulled back with this false bravado is not serving anyone. And I think for me as a father, where it scares me probably the most is I look at kids and I look at these little boys and I look at them looking up to their fathers, and I can see inside the father that he's not quite certain of where he's supposed to be. He's not quite certain of where he turns to for guidance. For whatever reason, and this isn't about putting shit on dads, we didn't have the greatest teachers, many of us. And that was because they didn't have the greatest teachers, and that was before them, they didn't have the greatest teachers. So they taught us from where they understood. I don't think that gives us an excuse any longer. And I think with access to information and access to things like Facebook Live and social media and Instagram Live and Zoom and YouTube, that we have an excuse anymore to sit idly by and repeat the mistakes of our fathers. We can honour them for what they did, and we can honour them for the effort and the understanding they came from. But I think it's time that we actually move forward and take responsibility for some change. Leon, my brother, how you doing? I don't normally reply to comments, but I'd have to from you, my friend. So, what am I doing today? I'm redefining what it is to be a man in this modern age by showing up here and being vulnerable and having the courage to go, I don't know at times. I don't have a clue. I got 2 kids stuck back in Africa. I wake up sometimes and the first thought I have is this obsession about how can I get my kids back and how angry I am at the people that put me here. But the beautiful thing about my life is that I'm a coach and that I've learnt the tools that allow me to very quickly step away, take a big breath. If I need to, apply a few processes to that thought process, and I can get on with my day as the best version of myself. Now, there's a bunch of men out there who aren't life coaches, who don't have that type of support, don't have that type of learning. So I keep getting on here, and people like my brother Leon keep getting on here, and we keep talking like this is your average guy, because we want those blokes out there who don't seem to have a support, whose only avenue of connection with others is to drink. Oh, hang on. Here, we're going to go fly by the seat of our pants. Let's bring Leon on. There we go. We'll see if Leon can join us any moment. We share this conversation before my battery dies. But so what is it to be a man to me? It's to support. It is to support and love her stepson. It is to support and love my brothers. And speaking of, perfect timing.
Hey, mate, sorry to hijack your live, but I thought, I'll just see.
Hijack away. I saw your message. You're in your new office, so mate, please hijack away. I'd love to hear your definition, because for me, I realised I talk about vulnerability being a superpower, and I think men might hear that and think, geez, what's this gay bullshit? I know it's hard for them to sort of understand it, but what I'm trying to say is that for me to be standing here right now, where a month ago I pushed this button, I'd have sweated and passed out. I couldn't do it. That's my definition now of a man to be, is a guy who's got the courage to step into the unknown, The guy who's prepared to do everything he can to find that best version of himself. Because when I'm my best, my partner can be at her best. Her little son, who's got his own stuff from the past, he can be his best. When I'm at my best, I can help Leon when he's having a bad day do the same, and vice versa. When I'm at my best, my little bubble and my little community just in general can evolve around the energy that I give off to people, and they can be their best. Because as men, we are pillars. That is what we've always supposed to be. And somewhere along the way, we've got lost. No big deal. We can recover very quickly if we can just start taking action again. If we can start actually getting up and moving instead of sitting in a shit pit, sitting in that rut, complaining, finding all the excuses and all the reasons under the sun to not get up and make any change. Anyway, you can see I'm getting a bit heated now. Leon, give us your definition of
firstly,
what is and what are the challenges? Yeah, what are the challenges guys are facing?
Yeah, well, I think firstly, am I crooked?
Yeah, you are, but I don't mind. I can do this if you like, mate. I can always go sideways.
I'll put it this way, but then I'll probably be shaky, but that's all right. I'm in the...
That's all right. Yeah, I've only got like 10% battery life, so we're going to go with your definition.
That's all right. Yeah, well, look, for me, it's finding balance is everything in life, isn't it? And like you and I have touched on a little bit around the definition of a male has gone from one extreme of suppression and not being able to talk about emotions or deal with anything at all, and actually just sweep it under the rug. And I've still got older generations, even that I'm related to, that do this, and they think it's just going to solve everything. And then we've got the other end that we've got young people who are getting propped up for having probably too many emotions or not knowing how to cope as well, because we've got more challenges now. We've got social media, technology, we've got more information than we've ever been able to receive, and we can't actually receive it all. So nobody knows who the fuck they are. Like, they don't know what to believe. Even me, you know, you can get caught up in so much stuff on the internet world that you just start to question everything too much. You don't really know what's right from wrong. So I think we do have to go, as you say, back into that, I don't know, hardwiring or whatever it is that is the core of a man. And then also, but more than anything, we have to start to nurture each other. We have to start to give love and connect on a really deep level. And I just was at a chat with 14 men this morning, which was absolutely amazing. And, you know, it's pretty evident that there's so much need for this, because it's a fantastic mission that these guys have created to do what they do. And oh, look, there's people that are tradies right through to businessmen there, and they just don't know or don't have the tools how to deal with this stuff. And some of them haven't spoken up in 30 years. Yeah. And therefore the suppression's been going on for so long. And as I pointed out to many of them, if you suppress for that long, you actually start to disassociate and you don't even know where to start, basically. So
yeah, it's a good point. And that's why I keep doing this. And like we said yesterday, we're just going to keep bombarding people. We don't know how to use this social media properly. So if anyone watches this and can figure it out, please help us, because we're bloody clueless. What we really want to do is get this message out as much as we physically can. This is not a sales pitch. This is, you know, we're coaches. Yes, we want clients, but this is not why we're doing this. We're doing it because we see that there's a real issue with this, just accepting the way things are, and that the status quo is a fuck up. It's not working, you know, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I really don't care. All I can see is that medicating and self-medicating by the use of drugs, alcohol, porn, gym, whatever it may be that your poison is driving us further and further away from the place we've got to be. And, you know, people have seen us talk about retreats, and I talk about them because what I'm finding is this idea of spurring men to action, putting that boot up their ass for that few days, lights a fire in their heart and gets that passion started again. What their passion is theirs. We're not there to mold men to look like us. God help us if we had a shitload more of me around. We don't need any of that. What we're trying to do is help find men what's already inside there, because everything you bloody need is there.
That's absolutely perfect, because
you've just put all this on top.
That was the thing that I was going to add on to the what's the definition of a modern man, and I feel like it's somebody who knows, or at least seeks out how to seek within, not without, because once we're seeking external, we're giving our power away to start with. And obviously the chat that I was at this morning is very mainstream and it's still great, but you know, everyone there, I believe, would probably be on medication. Quite a few that I talked to were on medication. So when we start talking differently and taking full-on responsibility and not looking to medical professions that certainly aren't working in ways, you know, it's very different for them to accept that, because we've always had this belief that someone else can fix us. We've always had this belief that we can go and get a pill before we can go to the doctor. And, you know, it's not working. Even the actual, not just mental health, but fuck me, you've just got to look at the amount of illnesses, ailments, injuries, all sorts of things that people are not healing. And we regenerate, right? Like, this is another topic I could get real passionate about, because we fucking regenerate. Like, I've broken my back in 3 places and, you know, many other injuries, but I'm still not 100%, but I reckon I'm 90. And every cell in our body is new within a year. So why are we staying sick?
We've become addicted to being sick. You know, I got back from Africa, and one of the things that shocked me was how developed the medical industry had gone from 15 years ago when I left in 2004 to when I got back. It seemed that there was a medical center on every freaking corner, and there's chemists literally side by side all over the place. And I just sat there and went, and then you'd sit inside, and it wasn't just oldies.
My office is just above one, and that's why I picked here, because the traffic is phenomenal. There's a chemist below me, and I'm thinking about going down there and handing cards out.
Yeah, because it's ridiculous. We've become addicted to being sick. And why?
Yeah.
Because it gives us attention. And we've got into this very much feeding this victim mentality. We love minorities. We love everything that where there's a smaller group of someone and we can say you're special, because we feel good when someone's paying attention to us. The problem is we're seeking the wrong types of attention, and we're teaching our kids to seek the wrong types.
I've been there. Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah, and I've been there too. It's lovely when someone tells you you're right and that you're sick and that you've got an excuse not to work as hard, or you've got an excuse why you don't have to actually listen to your wife, or you've got an excuse why you don't have to deal with the parenting problems, or it's an excuse. We seem to be addicted to sickness because it gives us excuses to not be our best.
It's the blame game, yeah.
Yeah, what happened to us where we chose, we just started to make these choices where we didn't want to be the best version of ourselves? When did we give up the desire to grow? That's the thing that I'm confused about. And this is worldwide. I'm not saying it's an Australian problem. I'm just realizing that we really seek out and spend so much energy on where can I find another excuse? Where can I find another reason to be the victim? And it sucks to hear it, and people hate you when you do it. Trust me, it stung like hell when I first got served that one on a platter, and I had to look at myself and really be serious about the fact that I was a really manipulative victim, because I played the victim, but twisted it in a way where I didn't look like the victim, but damn straight anyone with half a brain, especially a good coach, was like, me, you're full of shit. You're playing a victim, you're just doing really smart. I've got 10% battery life, so let's just, before we go into victim and all that sort of stuff, why I did this live today again was we've got a couple of retreats in March, guys. One with a good friend of mine, Niall, another one with Leon. I want to keep talking about why we're doing them, and that really is we want to look at this definition of what a man is. I want to help men become the sorts of guys who offer a safe home. I want men to be the pillar of that home, the center of it, so that their partner, their wife, whatever, can go out and be the best she can. And so those kids have got a father they can look up to and be proud of, so that they don't repeat the mistakes that you did, mate. Because the truth is, we're offering you this choice to actually grow and be a better version of yourself, so your kids don't have to do this sort of work.
Oh, that's for sure.
Giving them that freedom to not have to spend that time working out what your father passed down to you. And bless him, he did the best fucking job he could. He's not to be demonized. We're not demonizing fathers here, and we don't ever. I didn't have one, and I don't demonize it. I just don't, because the truth is he did the best he could from where he was sitting at the time. And same of his father before him. Yeah, so on that note, I'm going to shut up, Leon. What have you got to say before we kick off?
Well, even on the accountability side of things, I just worked out the tower for the old phone. It's fantastic. Now I can just sit here on my couch. This is, what a life, eh? This is fantastic. You better come and visit.
Yeah, I will.
So, yeah, there was another organisation this morning there called Step Up. I haven't looked them up, but what a fantastic idea. And they support people who are going into a mental health government type system or out of it. But even talking to them, you know, like they said, obviously they're doing a really marvellous job with the tools they have. But the thing that hit home for me, and this is the problem, because we keep patting people on the ass for not doing the work, is that they said all the young people, like they have a morning meeting and they all talk about anything that they could, you know, like anything that people need, anything that they need to improve. But all the young people that are in this facility type thing, it's not really a mental home, but kind of like it. They don't show up, Aaron, because they've fucking been up on the Game Boys and whatever they're called these days till midnight, and they're like, no, I don't feel like it. I'm too tired. There's no reprimand for not showing up, and they're not invested because, as I say, and you know, like we're not here to just always sell. However, I've done so much of this work for free. It's ridiculous. Like the amount of hours that I do give still for free do not work because people do not have an investment. I wish it could all be for free and we could go down the government route, but people will not ever fully get enough out of it unless they go seeking themselves and go and invest in themselves. And like I say, people are really quick to spend $5,000, $10,000 on a jet ski or a motorbike or whatever their toy or passion is, and that's okay as long as you got your priorities right. But when are you going to spend $1,000 or $2,000 on yourself? Like it's not much. It's really not much actually, as opposed to people buying $100,000 boat or car or whatever.
And not when you're talking about basically freedom, because that's sort of what we're talking about here is this idea to be free to be the man that you are instead of this construct that you're following on possibly from generation before or what society now is confused and deems to be a man, which is a beer drinking footy watching Aussie, you know. And I don't a problem with these things, and we've got to be careful. I'm not demonizing that either. What I'm saying is we don't want to produce another generation of men who are clones of each other. We're trying to encourage them to be their authentic selves. Be who you are. Be who you were born to be. Don't be who a Bob next door is. You know, don't be that. Be you.
That's actually a benefit of yours because you get to shape who you want to be. And you don't have a father figure. So even though it's a negative that you didn't have a father, it's also a positive. And I say that to people about me, like I can actually live without the guilt of, and there's still some of it comes up, but like, oh, what would dad think, right? He's been dead for 15 years. And it's like, live like your father isn't alive because then you're living for you. And we're all out there trying to live up to someone else's expectations except for our own.
Yeah, we don't even have any. And this is, I think, why we've got such a shit state, is that we don't even have any expectations of ourselves as men. This is, I think, why the debate of what is the definition is quite a poignant one, because we don't know. What is the expectation of a modern man? We've got absolutely no clue. And I think that's why the journey has become what it has. And I think it's why it's become a mission for us and why it's so important. Now, we're going to have to cut it short because otherwise my battery's going to die live. But, mate,
no, that's all right. I'm glad it worked,
And yeah, it did. And I hope it shared on yours. You know, sometimes it comes up with a little button.
I pressed share, so I think it will have.
So I hope we'll get this right. And please, you know, if anyone watches this and you've got a topic, if you've got a problem, if you've got an issue, throw it at me, because as you can see, I'm getting fired up and I love talking. I really want to be of service to people. That's why I'm here doing this.
Yeah, I love it. Thanks, brother. Have a good day.
We'll chat soon.
See you.